The useFormStatus, a new feature from React-19, focusing on enhancing the form submission experience of users. The useFormStatus hook is a very handy tool to track status of form submission. It will track the status of the most recent form submission within the React application. For designing a website, we need to create reusable components like buttons and text inputs that can be used in different places on the website. Sometimes these components need to know if they are being used inside a form. Traditionally, we have to pass this information down through each component one by one, which can become monotonous and hard to manage. React's new hook, useFormStatus, offers a simpler approach. It's like a built-in feature that any component can access. This hook lets the component know if it's currently within a form element without needing any extra information passed down from its parent components. This makes it easier to build design systems with reusable components that can adapt to different situations without needing complex prop drilling. Let's discuss how this hook works by its syntax. To simplify access to this experimental feature without external dependencies, we import the useFormStatus hook from React DOM. Inside the component, we need to call the hook without any parameter, but it returns a status object with following properties. First is pending, a boolean. This is the key property of useFormStatus. It indicates whether the parent form is currently submitting data or not. If true, this means the parent form is pending submission. Otherwise, false. This is useful for disabling buttons, showing loading indicators, or conditionally rendering UI elements based on the form's submission state. The next property is data, which is an object implementing the form data interface that contains the data the parent form is submitting. If there is no active submission or no parent form, it will be null. Next is the method. Now this property tells how the form is sending the data. It's either get, like asking a question, or post, like sending a package. This usually depends on how we set up the form. Then we have action. This is like the destination address for the form's data. It could be a function that is defined to handle the submission, or a specific URL on the server. It is null if there is no form or no specific destination defined. The data, method, and action properties returned by the useFormStatus are optional. They might not always be available. To track the status of form submission, we primarily focus on the pending boolean value. Let's discuss an example for further understanding of this hook. Let's create a basic contact form with a name, input, and a submit button. We'll use the useFormStatus to disable the submit button while the form is being submitted. So we import the useFormStatus and use it inside the contact form component. The useFormStatus hook returns an object with the pending property. We use the pending state to disable the submit button while the form is submitting. The button text changes dynamically based on the pending state, submitting on submission and submit otherwise. The output will look like this. When we click on the submit button, it should disable the button, and also it changes the text to submitting. Keep in mind that useFormStatus only reflects the status of the most recent submission. If you have multiple submissions happening quickly, it might not always show the latest pending state. The useFormStatus hook is currently considered experimental. Future updates in React-19 could potentially address these and solidify the functionality, so keep an eye on the final React-19 release.